Think your garden's too shady? Discover plants that not only survive but thrive in the shade. Picture a garden transitioning from dawn to dusk, shrouded in shadows yet bursting with life. Lush, verdant foliage and delicate blooms basking in the cool, diffused light. This is a paradise, not in spite of the shade, but because of it. Welcome to the secret world of shade gardening, where lack of sunlight doesn't mean lack of beauty. Today, we unlock the best plants for your shaded retreat. First, let's demystify shade. It's not just one big dark umbrella covering your garden. There are varying degrees of shade, each with its own unique character, and believe it or not, each offering a special kind of paradise to different plants. Light dappled shade is the first type. It's like that gentle, flickering light you see under a deciduous tree on a sunny day. A sort of chiaroscuro effect, if you will. This is the perfect spot for those plants that need some protection from the sun, but still enjoy a fair amount of light. Think trilliums and jack-in-the-pulpits. Then we have partial shade. This is the middle ground where plants receive about 3 to 6 hours of sun, usually in the morning or late afternoon. This is a happy medium for many plants, offering a balance between light and shade. You'll find that astilbes and hydrangeas do quite well in these conditions. Last, but certainly not least, is full shade. This is the deep end of the shade pool, where direct sunlight is as rare as a four-leaf clover. But don't despair, there's a whole world of plants that thrive in these conditions. Ferns, hostas, and the elegant helleborus, also known as the Christmas rose, are just a few examples. Now, it's important to remember that not all plants are created equal when it comes to their shade preferences. Some like it a little, some like it a lot, and others, well, they like to mix it up. So before you start planting, make sure you know what type of shade you're dealing with and choose your plants accordingly. Now that we understand different types of shade, let's explore some shade-loving plants. These are the unsung heroes of the garden, the ones that flourish without the spotlight, bringing beauty and life to those corners of your garden that the sun seldom reaches. Meet the champions of the shade. These perennials have mastered the art of thriving in low-light gardens, bringing vibrant colors, textures, and life to every corner. Let's take a closer look at these shade-loving superstars. First up, we have the hostas, known for their lush, broad leaves that come in a variety of colors, from deep greens to striking blues. These leafy wonders are a low-maintenance delight, perfect for adding a touch of drama to your shaded garden. Next on our list are the ferns, with their feathery fronds and intricate textures. Ferns are a must-have for any shade garden. They add a soft, romantic touch and are incredibly resilient, making them an ideal choice for those tricky, hard-to-plant areas. Then there's the astilbe. This perennial is a real showstopper, boasting feathery plumes in shades of pink, red, and white. Astilbes love the cool, moist conditions that shade provides, and their dramatic blooms add a splash of color to any shaded spot. And let's not forget about the bleeding hearts. These whimsical perennials offer heart-shaped flowers that dangle elegantly from arching stems. They're a beautiful way to bring a bit of romance to your shaded garden. Now, if you're after something a bit more ground covering, the pachysandra is your go-to. This hardy perennial forms a lush green carpet, perfect for covering bare soil in shaded areas. Plus, it's a great way to suppress weeds, making it a practical as well as a beautiful addition to your garden. Last but not least, we have the hellebores, often called Christmas or Lenten roses. These evergreen perennials are a true winter wonder, blooming in the coldest months when most other plants are dormant. Their cup-shaped flowers come in a range of colors, from pure white to deep purple, injecting a much-needed burst of color into the winter garden. As we can see, these perennials are true shade champions. They're a testament to the fact that shade doesn't have to mean dull or drab. With the right plants, a shaded garden can be just as vibrant and dynamic as one bathed in full sun. But let's not forget about the ferns. They're up next, and they're just as eager to show you what they can do in the shade. Ferns, the backbone of the shaded garden. These ancient plants, which predate dinosaurs, have evolved to flourish in the understory of forests, where sunlight is a cherished commodity. With over 12,000 species, there's a fern for every shade garden, no matter the climate or soil. First, let's meet the lady fern. Its delicate, feathery fronds bring a soft texture to the garden, contrasting beautifully with bolder foliage. And it's not picky about soil, thriving in anything from clay to sandy loam. Next up, the Christmas fern. This hardy evergreen fern remains vibrant even in the icy grip of winter. Its leathery fronds provide year-round interest, and it's a champion at preventing soil erosion. Then there's the Japanese painted fern. It's a true artist, painting the shade garden with silver, purple, and green. This low-maintenance fern loves a moist, well-drained spot and rewards you with a stunning visual display. Moving on to the ostrich fern, it's a real showstopper. Its tall, arching fronds resemble ostrich feathers and create a dramatic backdrop in any garden. It's also a fast grower, quickly filling in bare spots. And how could we forget the ghost fern? This hybrid brings an ethereal beauty to the shade garden with its silver-gray fronds. Its love for moist, rich soil makes it a perfect companion for hostas and astilbes. Last but not least, the cinnamon fern. Named for its cinnamon-colored fronds, it brings a unique color variation to the shade garden. It's also a giant, reaching up to 5 feet in height and creating a striking focal point. Each fern brings its own personality to the garden, adding layers of texture and a range of green hues. They are the unsung heroes of the shade, quietly creating a lush, vibrant backdrop for your other shade-loving plants. Ferns offer unique textures and colors to your shade garden. But what about some blooming beauties? Shade doesn't mean skipping on color. Quite the contrary, there's a whole palette of plants that bloom beautifully in low-light conditions. Let's dive into the world of these blooming beauties. First up, we have the enchanting bleeding hearts. These charming perennials produce a cascade of heart-shaped flowers that are sure to steal your heart. With their preference for partial to full shade, they are the perfect addition to your shaded sanctuary, and the best part, they're quite low maintenance, requiring only well-drained soil. Next on our list is the hellebore, also known as the Christmas rose. Don't let the name fool you. These resilient evergreens bloom from late winter to early spring, bringing welcome color during the colder months. Hellebores are perfect for full shade and require well-drained soil. They're also deer-resistant, making them a fabulous choice for woodland gardens. Let's not forget about the impatiens. These annuals are true shade lovers and offer a wide range of vibrant colors from pink to orange, red, and white. They're perfect for adding a splash of color to your garden borders or containers. And finally, we have the begonia. With their exquisite flowers and striking foliage, begonias are a standout choice for any shade garden. They prefer partial shade and well-drained soil, and they're also excellent for container gardening. So you see, shade gardening isn't all about the greens. With these blooming beauties, your garden can sport a riot of colors, even in the lowest light. And remember, while these plants are shade-loving, they still require good care. Water them regularly, but avoid overwatering. Also ensure they have well-drained soil to prevent root rot. These blooming beauties bring color to any shady spot. But let's not forget about the ground covers. They too play a crucial role in a well-rounded shade garden. So stay tuned as we explore the best ground covers for your low-light garden in the next segment. Create a lush carpet even in the darkest corners. This line isn't just poetic, but a reality in the realm of shade gardening. Ground cover plants, as their name suggests, cover the ground like a green blanket, providing a lush, textured canvas and preventing soil erosion. They also suppress weeds, reducing the need for herbicides. Let's talk about English ivy first. This vigorous, fast-growing plant is a popular choice for shaded areas. Its trailing vines adorned with glossy green leaves can transform a barren, shady spot into a verdant haven. English ivy is not just about the looks, it's also a low-maintenance plant that requires minimal care once established. Next up is Pachysandra, also known as Japanese spurge. This tough plant thrives in full to partial shade, creating a dense mat of greenery. Its small, evergreen leaves provide a stunning contrast to colorful blooms in your garden. The best part? Pachysandra is drought-resistant and thrives in poor soil, making it a perfect choice for those hard-to-grow areas. Don't forget about sweet woodruff, a charming ground cover with delicate, star-shaped white flowers. This plant loves the cool, moist conditions found in shady spots. In spring, it rewards you with a carpet of fragrant blooms. And did you know? Its dried leaves are often used in potpourri for their delightful aroma. And last but not least, let's mention the lily of the valley. This plant is a shade lover that spreads rapidly to fill your garden with its bell-shaped, sweet-smelling flowers. It's a classic choice for a traditional shade garden. Remember, while these ground covers are hardy, they still need some care. Regular watering, especially during dry periods, and an occasional trim to keep them in check, will ensure they stay healthy and vibrant. Ground covers provide a lush finish to your shade garden. Now let's talk about some shade gardening tips. Ready to start your shade garden? Here are some quick tips. First, soil preparation is key. No matter what plants you choose, well-draining soil is a must. Enrich your garden bed with plenty of compost to improve the soil structure and nutrient content. If your soil is heavy clay, consider adding some coarse sand to improve drainage. Next, let's talk about moisture management. While it's true that shaded gardens are less likely to dry out quickly, it's crucial to ensure your plants receive adequate water. Use a moisture meter or simply feel the soil with your fingers to determine when watering is necessary. Remember, overwatering can be just as harmful as underwatering. Now, on to plant selection. When you're choosing plants for your shade garden, consider their growth habits, color, and texture. Mix and match plants with different foliage shapes and sizes to create visual interest. For instance, pair large-leafed plants like hostas with delicate ferns for a stunning contrast. And don't forget about color. Yes, you heard that right. Not all shade plants are green. Look for shade-loving species with variegated or colored leaves like heuchera or lungwort to add a splash of color to your garden. Finally, think about layering. In a natural woodland setting, you'll see plants growing at different heights, from tall trees to medium-sized shrubs to low ground covers. Mimic this in your garden for a lush, three-dimensional effect. Remember, gardening is an art, and you're the artist. Don't be afraid to experiment and see what works best in your garden. After all, the most important thing is that you enjoy the process and love the result. Embrace your garden's shady spots as opportunities for lush, vibrant growth. With the right plants, every corner can be a masterpiece. Inspired to transform your shade garden? Well, the journey doesn't have to end here. There's a whole world of shade-loving plants waiting to be discovered. So why not join us on this adventure? Click that subscribe button for more gardening guides, and let's continue to explore the beauty of shade gardening together. And don't forget, we'd love to hear about your shade garden success stories. Until next time, happy gardening in the shade.